In the heart of Lagos, December brought a unique kind of joy. The streets were alive with the sound of laughter, the smell of roasted meat, and the constant hum of excited shoppers moving between stalls. It was a season like no other, a time when families came together, children dreamed of new clothes, and the air carried a promise of celebration. For the Okafor family, Christmas was more than just a holiday. It was a tradition, a time when the entire family packed their bags, loaded their car, and traveled to their village in Anambra State to spend the season with relatives. Mr. Chijioke Okafor, a successful businessman in Lagos, made sure his family never missed this yearly journey. He loved the village, the open fields, the laughter of cousins, and the stories shared under the moonlight. His wife, Nneka, loved it even more. Christmas gave her a chance to share their blessings with others, something she valued deeply. This year was no different. The preparations began in early December. Nneka was up before dawn, creating lists of things to buy. She had 3 children to think about: Chidera, her 10-year-old daughter who was already tall and graceful, Chukuma, the playful middle child, and Amarachi, the baby of the family who smiled at everyone she met. "Mommy, will I get a red gown this year?" Chidera asked one morning as Nneka busily measured her. "Yes, my daughter," Nneka replied with a smile. "A red gown with golden shoes. You will look like a princess." Chidera's eyes shone with excitement. "Thank you, Mommy." The house buzzed with activity for days. Nneka visited markets all over Lagos, carefully picking clothes for each child, shoes to match, and fabrics for her husband and herself. "This year must be perfect," she whispered to herself as she handed a fabric seller some naira notes. She also bought bags of rice, cartons of drinks, bottles of oil, and other food items they would share in the village. Nneka believed in giving. Every Christmas, she brought gifts for everyone, from the oldest elders to the smallest children. It was her way of thanking God for blessing her family. Her husband, Chijioke, admired her energy. "You think of everything, my love," he said one evening as she folded the children's new clothes into a suitcase. "Christmas is not just about us," Nneka replied. "It's about sharing joy with others." Chijioke kissed her forehead. "And that's why I married you." While Nneka shopped, Chijioke serviced the family's car, ensuring it was ready for the long journey. The children counted down the days, their excitement growing with each passing moment. On the day before their trip, Nneka visited her best friend, Adaeze. They had been friends for years, sharing everything from secrets to struggles. Adaeze, however, lived a different life. Her husband, Obinna, struggled to keep a steady job, and their home was modest compared to Nneka's. When Nneka walked into Adaeze's living room, she couldn't hide her excitement. "My sister, I have been running around like a mad woman," she said, laughing. Adaeze smiled faintly. "You always like Christmas too much." "I can't help it," Nneka said. "You know we go to the village every year. This time, we bought plenty of gifts, clothes, foodstuff, everything. I want my children to know that life is about giving." Adaeze nodded, forcing a smile. "That's good. God has really blessed you, Nneka." "Yes, He has," Nneka replied, unaware of the envy in Adaeze's heart. "You will see. Next year will be better for you too." God willing, Adaeze said softly. Nneka left Adaeze's house, feeling joyful and satisfied. But Adaeze sat in silence, staring at nothing. In her mind, she could see the new clothes, the bags of rice, the cartons of drinks. She thought of her own family. Her children wore the same clothes every year, and there were never enough gifts to go around. That evening, she told her husband, Obinna, everything. Nneka bought everything, all clothes for the children, food for the village, even drinks. She is traveling tomorrow morning. Obinna looked up sharply. Are you sure? Yes, Adaeze said. She told me herself. Obinna said nothing for a while, his eyes dark and thoughtful. Then, without looking at his wife, he muttered, I will take care of it. Adaeze didn't ask what he meant. She assumed he was simply speaking out of frustration, but she had no idea of the darkness in her husband's heart. The next morning, the Okafor family was ready. The car was packed to the brim, and the children were dressed in their new clothes. Nneka had prepared jollof rice and fried chicken for the road, and the air was filled with the excitement of the journey. Mommy, are we going to see Grandma today? Amarachi asked, her voice bright and hopeful. Yes, my dear, Nneka replied. You will see Grandma, Grandpa, and all your cousins. Chijioke started the car, and they began their journey. The road was smooth, the sky clear, and the children sang songs in the back seat. Nneka smiled as she looked at her family. This is why I love Christmas, she said softly. Hours passed, and they drove through winding roads and small towns. But as they approached a lonely stretch of road, Chijioke noticed something strange ahead. A group of men stood in the middle of the road, waving their arms. Chijioke, what is that? Nneka asked, her voice suddenly filled with fear. I don't know, Chijioke replied, slowing the car. Before they could react, the men surrounded them. They wore masks and carried weapons, machetes and guns that glinted in the sunlight. Get out of the car, one of the men shouted. Chijioke's hands shook as he turned to Nneka. Take care of the children. The men pulled him out of the car and began searching through their things. Bags of rice, cartons of drinks, suitcases full of clothes, they took everything. Then, one of the men stepped forward. It was Obinna, though his face was hidden beneath a mask. He pointed a gun at Chijioke. Transfer all the money in your account to this number, he said coldly. Chijioke stared at him, stunned. Please, don't do this. I have children. Do it now, Obinna shouted, his voice harsh. With shaking hands, Chijioke obeyed. He sent everything, every last naira, to the account Obinna had given him. When the men finally left, the Okafor family was left standing on the side of the road. The car was empty, their gifts and food gone, and Chijioke's bank account drained. Nneka fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Why, God, why? She cried. The children clung to her, sobbing in fear. Chijioke stood silently, his fists clenched and his face pale. We will be okay, he said finally, his voice trembling. We will find a way. But as they continued their journey to the village, their hearts were heavy. The joy of Christmas had been stolen from them, and they didn't know how to get it back. The car moved slowly as Chijioke drove through the quiet road, the sounds of the children's soft cries filling the air. Nneka sat beside him, her hands wrapped around little Amarachi, who had fallen asleep from exhaustion. Chidera and Chukwuma sat silently in the back seat, their faces wet with tears. None of them could find the strength to speak.